I like the enthusiasm. Can't say that's what I would have done personally, but I like the enthusiasm. So even if they trade the Midnight Reaper here, good, right? What? My name's Jans, and today I'm going to be showing you a Gruul Aggro list, which I believe to be one of the fastest ways to climb you through rank. Now, this doesn't mean that this has the highest win percentage, but it does mean that it has a high win percentage, and the games are decided relatively quickly, even in a best of 3 format, and you'll see that in the matches that we play. But the explosiveness of the deck, the ability to go into the mid game and still pick up the answers, I feel like it's very well rounded at dealing with what the meta is throwing out right now, which in some cases is Bont Ramp, where you're dealing with these big old Ugins that can exile your entire board and basically make you lose everything. And you're also dealing with these super low to the ground Rakdos sacrifice decks that can basically kill your creatures as soon as they enter without ever getting a chance to attack, in theory, right? So today I'm going to be taking you through this deck. We are going to be playing best of 3. I do still have some cards for the deck tech wrap up, but of course, as always, that'll be at the end of the video. So make sure you're watching all the way through, get the pro tips from the matches, and then at the end we'll go through some cards if you know some of these cards are too expensive, or you don't have them, or maybe you're just looking for a different spice or flavor on the deck, right? So kicking us off, we have down here in the bottom end 3 copies of Pelt Collector. You should be running 4 if you have 4 copies. If you don't make a big deal out of it. Pelt Collector is great, yes, but it is rotating. So while it is that early threat that you really want, something like a Fervent Champion that may be sticking around could be a better option for you, right? Anyways, Pelt Collector, whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, if that creature's power is greater than Pelt Collector's, put a +1/+1 counter on Pelt Collector. For instance, if you put down a Paradise Druid, it has 2 power, Pelt Collector has 1 power, boom, counter put onto it. If you put down something like a Questing Beast, 1 counter when it enters, 1 counter when it dies, so Pelt Collector goes up to a 3/3 total, and continues to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Stonecoil Serpent isn't really a 1 CMC, but due to like how it's registered as a card, I mean, I guess it is. Anyways, you pay X, it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. However, the nice thing is it has protection from multicolored, so immediately is protected from Teferi and Bedevils and Kaya's Rat, or not Kaya's Rats, Oath of Kaya's, right? Things of that nature. It has Reach, so it can protect you from flyers. It has Trample, so when it swings in, it's dealing tons of damage and actually dealing the damage up against those Cat Oven decks. It's really a great card. It's rotation proof, or it's going to last through a rotation, however you want to say that. All in all, and the fact that it's colorless means it doesn't matter if you get all your forest and 0 mountains or vice versa. You can still cast this card down. So really awesome card, and yeah, you should have it in your deck. Anyways, Primal Might, this one is brought to us from M21, and actually a card that I'm super excited to play with. It's real fun. I'm loving the ability that it brings, right? So for X and 1 green mana, target creature you control gets +X/+X, so power and toughness increased by whatever you paid for X. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So we've seen these fight abilities before, and 1 mana for a fight ability, which is what this card is at its very base, isn't a bad transition. And the fact that you can pay more mana and build your creature more come those mid to late game fights, it means that when you draw into this, as opposed to a normal fight ability where you're just fighting them, boom, dead, and now you can swing in, you're fighting, plus you're increasing your power by all the mana that you currently have, or you may want to save some if they have counter spells and that kind of stuff, but still increasing your creature's power by 5 there in the late game, removing a creature, and then getting to swing in with that creature that now has increased power is huge, especially if they have something like an Embercleave where it's going to have double strikes, so you're effectively doubling the damage, right? It's really a nice card. It's removal, it's build your creature up big, it's all in all fantastic. And again, it's surviving rotation, so that's one of the most important things when looking at these decks, because you want a deck that's gonna be able to be played through multiple ranks, right? Or multiple sets, I guess. Next up, we have Paradise Druid. You know, it's an uncommon. It's a staple. Probably will always be a staple in my heart. Really love this card. It's fantastic. 2 mana for a 2/1. Has hexproof as long as it's untapped. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color. Pretty simple. And it, you know, it's a solid body for what it does. Scavenging Ooze comes down to 2/2. 1 green mana, exile target card from a graveyard if it was a creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on Scavenging Ooze, and you gain 1 life. This is huge. It's great against aggro decks. It's great against the Euro Cat Oven decks. Now, that all being said, of course, make sure you're being a little careful. If you throw this down, it's probably going to get shocked if your opponent has a shock or, you know, Bone Crusher Giant. So try to make it to where if you throw it down, you can at least build it up to a 3/3. Right? That way you're not just, hey, I hope my opponent doesn't have any removal, disfigure, you know. There's so many things that kill this because it only has the 2 health. And it's such an important card that you kind of want it to last. Now, all that being said, if you have mana turn 1 Pelt Collector, mana turn 2 Scavenging Ooze, don't ignore it. You know, play your combo, play your curve. I'm just saying if it comes time for mid game, don't think that you're going to be able to squeeze this in and it's just going to live, because people do value this card highly, which means it's going to be removed often, right? As often as they can. Speaking of Bone Crusher Giant, we have some in our own deck, 4 copies. It's a great card. You can't deny it. 2 mana, get to kill something or, you know, deal damage to a Planeswalker or whatever. And then you get a 4/3 on the other side of it, which also causes damage to your opponent if they go to target it with a spell. So bouncing it, you know, single target removal, all that kind of stuff, gonna hurt your opponent even more, you know, as the game goes on. Lovestruck Beast, you get these little 1/1 humans, which are great for when you're up against those Rakdos matches and they're banking you sacrifice stuff left and right. You can sacrifice a little 1/1 instead of having to sacrifice an actual body, so that's great. One, it's a turn 1 play and it's a turn 3 play, so it's great curve for just drawing it in your opening hand, right? Turn 1, Lovestruck, create a 1/1. Turn 2, Paradise or Scavenging or whatever. Turn 3, back to Lovestruck. And 3 mana for a 5/5, I mean, who's arguing about that? Even if the 1/1 dies, you can still block with it, so it's still great against aggro matchups. But yeah, I mean, it's a 5/5. It's a solid fucking body. You give an Embercleave to this, or you toss it down with the Great Henge. Now it's 6/6. It's gonna do some work. Next up, we have Gruul Spellbreaker, 3/3 Riot Trample. As long as it's your turn, you and Gruul Spellbreaker have hexproof, which is great. It's not as strong as Teferi, but you know, hey, given your creatures in your face hexproof when your opponent might have some instant speed spells that target you. I'm not saying this one specifically, but something like a Liliana's Triumph, right? Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If it's something like that, well, on your turn they can't make you do that, so there's no like instant speed spell wombo combo they can do on you. And again, that's a little bit of a niche reference, but it's there. Questing Beast, 4 mana for a 4/4 Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. This is the card that has so much text that it's like, what even? Anyways, Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Great combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. So if they go to use a heroic intervention, right, the damage can't be prevented. Now, they have indestructible, so they can't be destroyed. So I think they still live, right? Because they can take the damage. Not that the damage isn't being prevented, it's just that they don't care about the damage. So I don't think you would want, I think you still lose your creatures, is what I'm saying. Anyways, and then whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target Planeswalker that player controls as well. So it's great Planeswalker hate. It's great all around. 4 mana for a 4/4 with haste. Sign me up. 4 mana for a 4/4 with haste, Vigilance, Death Touch, and can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Hell yeah. It's unfortunate that well, unfortunate and fortunate. This card is rotation proof, so those of you that love it, enjoy it. Enjoy it for a long time. Those of you that hate it, you're going to be hating it for a little bit longer, you know? Anyways, Nissa, who shakes the world, 5 mana for this 5 ability Planeswalker. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green mana. So again, it allows you to play down all your creatures quickly, and it turns those lands into creatures that gain haste, and 3 points, you know, on a land is pretty nice. It gives you, again, that lethality, that quickness come mid to late game, so. And then last but not least, we have Embercleave and we have the Great Henge. So just the top end of the century, really. These 2 cards I love so much. Embercleave, obviously, if you're doing banging in the beginning and you have 2-3 creatures down, you're now on turn 3 or 4 and you have Embercleave, boom, you can pay for it, and you're swinging in with solid bodies, right? Your Pelt Collector is going to probably at least be a 3/3. You're probably going to have a Scavenging or a Paradise Druid, one of the two. And then you're also going to have something like a Love Struct or a Gruul Spellbreaker. Yeah, your board's going to be stacked. Throw an Embercleave on that, your opponent's going to be shaking in their boots. Now, vice versa, come mid-game, your opponent sort of fended you off a little bit and got you here and there or whatever. You know, 3 mana, you get down a Love Struck Beast, and it reduces the cost of the Great Henge by 5 mana, which makes it go all the way down to only costing 4. So that's, you know, mid-game, it's 7 mana total in one turn to get down the Great Henge. Not too shabby, considering you're also getting a 5/5 on the other end of that, right? So all in all, the deck's very, very fun. This is the base of it. And again, we're going to be playing it in best of 3. So looking over here at the sideboard, we have Lava Cool. It deals with the Tor brands, right? It allows you to exile things. In the Cat Oven decks, you just want to be a little careful given they have the Oven and the Priest to sacrifice things at instant speed. You got to time this kind of properly. Robber of the Rich. It's great in other aggro matchups because you can steal their cards that may be very key to them, such as Embercleave or an Annex or whatever, you know. It's really good. Has haste. If your opponent keeps clearing your side of the board, having creatures with haste allows you to get them down and immediately get in the damage. It can be great if you're up against a control player that has a lot of removal, right? Because again, you throw these down, boom, they do their job immediately. You don't have to wait a turn. Garrick's Harbinger. This is great against Sultai matchups or really anything that's running black too heavily. Now, Priest, it doesn't affect this, right? Because it just makes you sacrifice. But Hexproof from black, it does protect you from a whole lot. And the fact that this is a 3 mana 4/3 that allows you to look at the top, you know, so cards, however much damage it's dealing, which is generally 4. And you can reveal a creature and put it into your hand. That's great. And if you want to go for a Garrick, well, we'll get to that later in the deck wrap up. But there is a way that you can play Garrick in the deck, and then drawing it out is just beautifully. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, sideboard option, great card. 3 mana for a 4/3 with Hexproof from black. Yeah, sign me up. And rotation proof. Gem Razor. I mean, this is doing great in mono green. It's great in the sideboard here in Gruul, I think. One, again, you can throw it on something like your Pelt Collector. It has all the counters, and it's a big creature for only 3 mana that has reach and trample. Sure. But the true beauty is the fact that it allows you to destroy target artifact or enchantment while getting this big 4/4 body down, right? That is the main call to action for why you're throwing it in your deck. And it's typically going to go in there when those Love Struck Beasts or those Gruul Spellbreakers simply aren't enough, right? Like Rakdos Sacrifice. Occam Adversary, basically in the same boat as Garrick's Harbinger to a degree. It's going to be really great against Bont and Sultai because obviously they're going to have green permanents right somewhere. So the fact that it costs 2 mana for a 2/3 with Death Touch that also draws you cards whenever it deals combat damage to a player, yeah, it's good. It's only an uncommon. It's rotation proof. Yeah, it's actually really good in one of those cards that's pretty slept on. Which brings us to our next card, Shifting Ceratops. Unfortunately, this one isn't rotation proof, but it is really, really good. The spell can't be countered, protection from blue, 1 mana, you can give it your choice of reach, trample, or haste. If you pay 2 mana, obviously you get 2 picks, 3 mana, you get all 3. The nice thing is it's a 5/4, can't be countered, and it has protection from blue, so no Teferi bounces, no Brazen Borrower bounces, no countering it. It's all in all very good. And if you're going to play this deck in best of 1, I'm very tempted to tell you Shifting Ceratops is better than Questing Beast. And it's not because like it's better when it enters the battlefield, but it's in general probably going to stay on the battlefield more often than your Questing Beast, in best of 1 at least. Anyways, that's going to pretty much do it for the deck tech or deck breakdown. I know it was a long one, but again, since we have the sideboard and we're hopping into best of 3, and this is like, I'm recommending you to actually craft things in this deck to climb rank faster. I want you to understand why everything is here. So once again, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoy. If you do, watch all the way through to the end. And without further ado, let's hop into these matches. Hobby? Not quite sure. Play first. I'm playing John, baby. Of course I want to play first. I both love and don't love this hand, but we'll keep it either which way. I think I want to look for a land. I like the idea of, you know, just things going perfect and us hitting Great Henge off the Love Shrek piece. But I think realistically, we should play realistically. Okay, so our opponent's playing the Elemental Yugen deck, more than likely. Genesis Ultimatum. If that's the case, I want to try to hit them hard and fast, right? Yeah. So we want to kill them before they get to the point of being able to do what they want to do, so. Alright. Still have lethal, don't we? As of right now. Yeah. That makes things a little difficult. One Bone Crusher Giant though is still lethal. Belt Collector. Alright, this is it. Let's see, do they have it? They can bring their Euro back, defend Questing Beast. Also kicks them at 4 life. Is that enough though? Storm's Wrath? Oh, another Euro. Okay, well that brings them back to what? 7 life? So now they play the other one back. That's why they were tapping very specifically. Alright, let's boost up our pelt collectors. That's not how you want to do that. There you go. Yep. So you're taking them down to 6. No, because we have trample. Right, there you go. That's still enough to finish them, man. Yeah. Cool beans. Cool beans. Alright. Alright. I think I want to hit fast. Again, if they're only playing elementals and trying to go for the, what's it called, we want to hit quick. They probably slotted in some Storm's Wraths, right? Well, this isn't exactly hitting quick, but, you know, we have the Primal Mot, which could allow for some big damage. Okay. Yes, that's good. Alright. So we can get down. Do we go ahead and go for the Paradise over the Scavenging? Yeah. I think so. Risen Reef. Could have Paradise Rift fight the Risen Reef, but this ends in the same result, right? Well, that's really good for us. Sure, give me a card to target. We gotta take him down. Gots to. Actually, that's not bad for us either. Nice. Easy. Game 1. Ben Rap. What do you rap about, Ben? I'm kind of interested. Hey, can we start getting some more green mana? I'm gonna have to go through and take out the like 3 mountains I have. Obviously, it's probably more than 3, hence why I keep drawing them, but you get what I'm saying. So this is probably Rakdos Sacrifice, yeah. If that's the case, we want to keep a solid number of units on the board, which means you could very well see me go Pelt Collector Stonecool here. Yeah, especially given they have a priest. Or we could just Bone Crusher Giant their priest, right? Yeah. Good old kitty cat. Okie dokie. You know, Village Rites is so strong because it's instant speed, so you can use it as a response to things like Bone Crusher Giant. Get rid of their Bone Crusher Giant, draw 2 cards for 1 mana. We know. We don't know if they know. Alright, so we're going to go for Pelt Collector and a 2/2 Stonecool. Seems like the best allocation of our mana there. And oftentimes in most decks, but especially in aggro decks, you want to be allocating your mana properly to output the most damage, right? Or what's expected to be the most damage. So that's what we'll go for here. This next turn, ooh, well that makes things difficult. I mean easy, like easy in our decision making, right? Because you just throw down the Embercleave. But difficult in the fact that now all I want to do is throw down Embercleave, am I right? That's a very odd way of blocking. Yeah, I mean, even if you sacrifice your goat, the damage is going through, so you decide. It's a nice thing about trample, huh, Ben? It's a nice thing about trample. So we're dealing 8, taking them down to 14. On this next turn, we can down Bone Crusher plus Paradise. That's kind of nice. I like the enthusiasm. Can't say that's what I would have done personally, but I like the enthusiasm. So even if they trade the Midnight Reaper here, good, right? What? I'm missing something. Certainly missing something here. I mean, if they have a claim, ouch. Thank God they don't. Alright, still no claim, right? Hopefully. Cool beans. You think they go ahead and use Priest to try to find a claim? Well, now what? Now what do you do now that you did all that? Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. One there. One there. So we're off by 2 damage. Unless... Well, yeah, that works. We could also throw this on him, right? Does that allow for more damage? I think so. We have four points of mana. It's unfortunate. Alright, whatever. Maths for losers. Yeah. But yes, trample. So you're gonna want to block a lot more than that. Like, you're gonna want to block with everything. Mm-hmm. You're still losing, just based on what's on the board. Okie dokie. So we literally don't even have to do anything here. They're really gonna hate this. Oh, that was nice. Anyways, lava cool. They're not playing any green. You definitely want the gem razors. Hexproof from black. Do they actually target us with anything, or is it just priest? Doesn't look like they're actually targeting us with anything, though they could. Alright, I mean, if they learned how to use their what's it called, Bone Crusher isn't actually that good. Scavenging Ooze is great. If they would use their village rights correctly, Bone Crusher isn't good for us, right? In which case I could take out the Bone Crusher and put back in the Paradise. But on the flip side, if they play that poorly again, we just got him with Bone Crusher, right? Robber's also not a bad choice because we can just steal what they have. But it is a human, so it goes against that. Yeah, I see your timer just a ticking. Sorry, takes some time to map out my sideboard. It's not a one and done kind of thing. This hand, it's lovely, right? Unfortunately, the opponent gets to go first, but we got some good stuff here. I don't want to only see lands. Can't really afford to do anything here. Yeah. That's why you don't want a Bone Crusher. Okay. I suppose that's one way of doing it. So with Bone Crusher plus Lava Coil, we can take out that fucking monstrosity. Which means, what am I doing here in the downtime? Just playing the Love Struck Beast 1/1? They do have Mayhem Devil. That's really bad for us. Almost to the point where I want to Lava Cool the Mayhem Devil instead of even worrying about the rotting. Block because we can't afford taking a crack like that. Oh, get rid of that claim, baby. Alright, well, at least we can kill the rotting here. That's good news. We have to do it here instead of afterwards, otherwise they'll use the priest after. If we use it now and they use the priest before, then we can actually have the chance of just sacrificing our Love Struck, in which case it's all fine. Right? But now they don't have enough creatures with priest to sack, and so bada bing, bada boom. Ha ha ha. But they can just pay 3 mana and get Gigantha in hand. right? Sorry for the doggos, by the way. And that is indeed what they did. So I can go Great Henge plus Bone Crusher. To which I say awesome. Don't get me wrong, I want the Ember Cleave, but if you have Great Henge available, why the hell not? Right? I might have to go check on the doggos, because generally they won't be barking come, you know, midnight for no reason, so. Alright, well, are you ballsy enough to sack with your Mayhem Devil and your Priest? You don't have enough damage there to actually do anything though, huh? Alright, we have a Nissa, we have an Ember Cleave. Can we Nissa into the Ember Cleave? I believe so. I believe so. I think we got this. I think, yeah. Been wrapped, so we're 2-0 with Gruul Aggro. Alrighty, so you watched all the way through. First, I'm going to say thank you, and I'm going to keep this short, sweet, and simple as, well, the deck tech breakdown was very, very long, but again, it's ranked. I want y'all to be serious, and I want you to take it seriously, which means I need to explain everything, right? And in my mind, that's how I view it. Anyways, if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like down below, comment in the comment section. If you have any, you know, questions, comments, concerns, whatever. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe and click that bell icon that pops out afterwards. To catch us play these decks live, hop over to twitch.tv/Dr. Spillikin, toss a follow there. And last but not least, down in the description, there is a Discord link. I highly recommend you go check it out. There's a lot of links down in the description, but that's the main one to push. Anyways, we're gonna have to scroll over a little bit. I found this is the best way for me to actually do this in these best of 3 decks, whatever. So scrolling on over here, we have Heroic Intervention. It's a great card. It allows you to protect your stuff. If you're someone that's going into best of 1, you probably want some general protection of your creatures, of your permanents. So 1 or 2 copies, all you really need. And if you already have those, beautiful. If not, you know, don't worry about it too much. But again, this is one of those rotation proof cards, so if you do spin the wild card, you're gonna get your value out of it. I can almost guarantee that, because the sets just dropped, so it's still got, you know, a whole year's worth of life. So don't be too afraid to pick up utility cards in the beginning, especially cards like this where you'll probably use 1 to 2 copies in a lot of decks. So maybe just pick up 1 copy, run 1 copy. Anyways, ramp through. If you're someone that doesn't really trust, you know, just going to face and having it, the only removal you really have in this deck is Bone Crusher and Primal Might. Something along the lines of ram through. It's common, instant speed. If you use it on something that has trample like Gruul Spellbreaker, it even allows you to deal a little bit extra damage. All in all, very, very, very highly recommended if you need some extra cards to fill the deck out, right? Domri's Ambush, similar boat as Ram Through, but it makes your creatures permanently bigger. It doesn't deal damage directly to your opponent's face, but it can hit planeswalkers, so it has this sort of trade-off. It's also sorcery instead of instant speed, but again, it makes them bigger. So, you know, Domri's Ambush, it's been a popular pick in Gruul for a while, and it's only an uncommon. So again, if you're looking for more cards to fill out your deck, very, very good. Speaking of more cards, very cheap, Zertog Goblin, 2 mana for this 2/2 with Riot. The nice thing about Riot, you can throw it down and give it haste, and you know, it can boost up your Pelt Collector. Come turn 2, you're dealing, you know, 4 points of damage, which is nothing to sneeze at. Or if your opponent has a little bit bigger side of the board, then you give it the counter, and now you have a 3/3 for 2 mana, which is, again, not bad stat lines, given it's an uncommon. Moving us down, speaking of uncommons and, you know, swapping things out in your deck and being a little bit more efficient, Thrashing Brontodon is an uncommon 3/4 for 3 mana. You can sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that until it's absolutely crucial that you do that. But if you're up against a cat oven deck, yeah, go ahead and swing in with this big beastie and then remove the oven. That way you don't have to deal with it for the entire game of getting ticked down slowly but surely, right? Not to mention it's 3 mana for 3/4, so it's a very solid body that can defend you well against aggro, mono white, those kind of decks, right? Next up we have Clothius, however you want to say it, God of Destiny. Can keep you very healthy. If it turns into a creature, it's 4/5 with indestructible, and it can allow you to ramp. So, you know, I could very much see people running this over the Nissa because it's lower in the cost and because it's got that similar ramp effect that you pretty much want from the Nissa without giving you the land. So, you know, if you have copies, great. It's rotation proof. Nissa's not, but it is a mythic, but it can become a creature. So, you know, you got your ups and downs with Clothius, but I know a lot of people that play Gruul Aggro will tell you, you know, it's a great card, and it is. Being able to exile your opponent's creatures and getting things back from that, you know, getting your life. Great. And you're dealing damage. Beautiful. Next up, we have Garruk Unleashed. I'd mentioned this earlier with Garruk's Harbinger. If you don't like the Nissa, or you don't have Nissa and you're looking to invest in the future rather than the past, which is a smart plan, right? Garruk Unleashed, I've seen a lot of people running him in the mono green list, in Gruul Aggro. He's pretty good. Granted, I don't think the 3/3 beasts that he creates are better than the lands that Nissa creates, because those lands have haste. Also, if you lose the 3/3 beast, it's not nearly as bad as if you lose a land. So, and he only costs 4 mana. You can draw him with your Garruk's Harbinger. So if you're going more into the new age Gruul Aggro, sure, throw in a Garruk's Unleashed, or a Garruk Unleashed, I'm sorry. The +3/+3 and trample until end of turn, that's huge. Throw that in a Questing Beast, and now you have a Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, 7/7 Trampler that can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and you're adding a little TK onto Garruk. Oh my goodness. The value is crazy, right? And it's immediate value, because as soon as Garruk comes down, you get to use it. Anyways, moving over here, if you want to move more into the red side, right? This was very green over here and sort of in the middle. But if you want to move more towards red, say like something Annex, you know, it is only an uncommon, and it has the ability to get very powerful based off its devotion, and gives you creatures whenever your, you know, non-token creatures dies, which means you can still have things to swing in with, even if your opponent destroys your Bone Crusher and your Love Stripped or whatever. Here's a few suggestions. Footfall, again, it allows you to give your creatures trample and haste, which is huge. Granted, a lot of this deck is based off creatures that already have the ability to gain haste. Questing Beasts, Gruul Spellbreakers, Nissa's Lands. This allows those Love-Struck Beasts, Bone Crushers, if you're playing Annex itself, to gain trample and haste, you know, without having to have the Embercleave for the trample. So 1 mana, and you can cycle it. It's only an uncommon. It's rotation proof. Again, all in all, it's good for a budget deck. It's good for giving you the last little bit of answer you need. Speaking of the last little bit of answer you need, given we're playing Embercleave in this deck, things like Infuriate and Unleash Fury, even sometimes just as a one-off, can really help you close out the game without your opponent expecting that much damage. Because generally when people are up against Embercleave decks, they're going to try to figure out exactly how much you can deal to them so they can survive, and then come back with the largest threat, right? The largest backswing, so to say. So things like Infuriate, which 1 mana target creature gets +3/+2, which are pretty big stat lines, or something like Collision Colossus, where they gets +4/+2 and trample. It's pretty good at instant speed. It's pretty good because your opponent's not going to be expecting it, right? And then Unleash Fury is just, I'm personally right now a huge fan of Unleash Fury. But again, at a lot of points, Infuriate is just going to be better, because Unleash Fury is double the power of target creature until end of turn. Things like Questing Beast, yes, they get more strength from Unleash Fury than Infuriate, but everything from Gruul Spellbreaker and lower, it doesn't get the health, it gets the same amount of power. So it's like, you know, that's just me fanboying. Anyways, Underworld Ragehound, again, it's very cheap in the fact that it's only a common, 2 mana for this 3/1. It attacks each combat if able. Well, you want to be swinging in anyways. This is Gruul Aggro. Not to mention the fact that it has Escape, so exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. That's fine. You're not a reanimate deck, so you don't mind exiling cards. 4 mana, it escapes with a +1/+1 counter, so now you have a 4/2 onto the battlefield, which 4 mana, sure, it's not great, but if you're just flooding out and you have nothing else to play the Underworld Ragehound. 4/2. Constant pressure, right? Constant pressure. And it also builds up towards your Annex. So, all that being said and out of the way, though, that is going to do it for the deck tech wrap-up. I hope y'all enjoyed these deck tech wrap-ups when we're doing a very competitive deck. It's very difficult for me because a lot of the cards have already been super sleuthed out to be the best that they are, right? But these are the cards that I recommend if you're, you know, on a budget, or if you have some of these and you don't have the other ones. All these are very, very good selections, and they fit somewhere in this deck, right? Maybe you do a few tweaks, but as always, you know, take these decks and make them your own. Don't just copy them 75 cards for 75 cards and say, well, Chance did well with it, I'm going to do well with it. Because everybody has different play styles, and ultimately, you're going to play the best playing a deck that you enjoy playing and you feel good and comfortable playing, right? Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Hope you all have a great day, great night, great afternoon, whatever time it may be, wherever you are. As always, I'll see you either later tonight or tomorrow. Peace.